All right, everyone. Hello, everyone. My name is Mr. Christian T. Pascual. I'm the program chair of Forensic Science in our amazing college. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about three important things that any student who's enrolled this trimester should know about. The first one is what is online distance learning, right? Or ODL. Second is what is learning management system? And then lastly, what is our new course schedule, right? So let's proceed with the first one, which is what is online distance learning? So as you can see on the board, online distance learning is a form of education in which the main elements includes two things. Number one, there's physical separation of teachers and students. So we don't have to meet in class anymore, right? So everything is done from the distance, right? Through online. But since we are apart or we are separated, one integral part of online distance learning or inseparable part of online distance learning is that we use various technologies to facilitate interaction between the student and the teacher and student to student, right? So again, two things that you have to know about online distance learning. Number one, there is physical separation. And number two, we use technology so that even if we are physically away from each other, we could still be able to interact, right? You will be able to interact with your classmates, and you will be able to interact with us, your teachers, right? So I hope the definition of online distance learning is pretty clear. Now, one thing that became controversial this term is that we have longer course hours, right? Some of the lecture hours will be 4 hours. Some of the courses will be done 4 hours. Now, don't worry, because even if we are in online distance learning, it doesn't mean that we have to be online at the same time, all the time, right? There are two parts actually in our delivery of online distance learning. So in a way, we are more flexible. First that we have synchronous, and then second we have asynchronous. When you talk about synchronous, it means that, from the term itself, we have to be online at the same time. An example of that is through Zoom meeting, right? Or if we use Canvas later on, your professor may opt, to deliver their lecture through the big blue button, which is a application that is already part of our Canvas learning management system. So when you talk about synchronous, all of you should be online at the same time. But you don't have to do that for 4 hours or for the entire duration of your class. Because the truth is, it could be, you could only be synchronous for 50 minutes or 30 minutes, right? And the rest of the class could be asynchronous. Meaning, you can, your professor could just let you watch a pre-recorded video or assign to you, an open educational resource in the form of videos, simulations, reading assignments, book chapter, that you could, watch, read, or do at your own pace or at your own time, right? That is really good because that means you don't have to be online for 4 hours, and sometimes that's difficult to do because we have different restrictions when it comes to our internet connections, as well as when it comes to our technology. Like our sometimes you have several siblings, for example, where you share your computers, and so we do away with that problem by mixing synchronous with asynchronous. So I hope that makes the idea of synchronous asynchronous more concrete. Again, right? The controversy of do we have to be online for 4 hours straight and follow our course schedule? You don't have to, because there are parts of that 4 hours that is done synchronous, and there are also parts of that 4 hours that is done asynchronous, meaning you don't have to be online at the same time, right? Now, the second thing that I want to discuss in this video, aside from the online distance learning, is the concept of learning management system. Of course, I told you earlier that aside from being separate or away from each other, right? An integral part of online distance learning is the use of technology. And the biggest technology that we use in order to make sure in order to make online distance learning work is the learning management system. But what really is online management system? A learning management system rather. Well, learning management system is simply the software application for the administration of educational courses. So for you as a student, that is where you will access all the videos that your professor pre-recorded and would like you to watch, all the texts that your professors would like you to read, all the assignments that your professor would like you to do, all the quizzes and examinations that your professor would like you to take, right? So, and of course, you will also receive the feedback, your grades, your score, through the learning management system. Or simply what you call LMS. So I hope that's very clear. Now, our university actually was bold enough to adopt a learning management system which is very robust and very user-friendly, right? And we call that the Canvas. So Canvas is our official learning management system. By the way, Canvas can be accessed through your computer. So if you are using your computer, you simply go to the browser and find UC Instructure. I forgot exactly the exact term for that, but I will flash it on the screen. And then if you're using your mobile phone or your tablet, you could simply download the application for Canvas Student. And then, of course, once you log in there, you will see Find Your University. And when you find your university, you could be able to log in already. Of course, our university is University of the Cordilleras, right? The best college of criminal justice education in the Philippines. Um, by the way, a second part of the video, I also did a walkthrough of the Canvas learning management system from the perspective of a student. So make sure to watch that video as well. Now, the last part of the third part of our topic in this video is our grading system. Now, for the second year and third year students, there's no problem because you are already familiar with our grading system. We will just adopt the same grading system that we used to follow, right? But for the benefit of the first year students, our incoming first year students, this is the way we compute your grades. So, generally, if you try to look at the first part here, I hope you could see my cursor. The first part, the part on top, actually says here that there are two grading periods. The first grading period is midterm, and the second grading period is final, right? So for both midterm and final, there are generally three types of activities, right? All the things that you do that are graded by your professor are categorized into three. The first one is class standing. So it could be quizzes, assignments, seat work, right? Those are parts of class standing. Recitation, those are part of your class standing. And then there could also be laboratory, but don't worry, if it's just pure lecture, there's no laboratory. If your course has a laboratory component, then laboratory matters. In graduate school, instead of laboratory, the thing here that you would see is actually the second category will be research, right? Because in the graduate school, they're really research-based, right? And the third one, of course, will be your examination, right? Of course, if it's the midterm, that's midterm examination. If it's the final, it's the final examination, right? So, let's first go with so the point distribution here, the percentage here, will depend on what type of course you are taking. So if it's a pure lecture course, generally, it will be 50-50. 50% class standing and then 50% examination. So your midterm grade will be based on 50% class standing and then 50% examination. And that is the same with your final grade. Your final grade will be 50% of your class standing for that final grading period, and then of course 50% will be of your final grade will be 50% of your final examination. So I hope that's clear. Of course, it will change if the course that you're taking has a laboratory component, because that means for class standing it will be 33%, for laboratory it will be 33%, and then for your examination it will be 34%, right? And that will be the same for finals, wherein 33% class standing, 33% laboratory, and then 34% for your final examination. Now, how do we compute your grade? Because that really matters, right? How do we compute the grade? Because there are two grading periods, the midterm and final. How much weight do we put on midterm, and how much weight do we put in your score in the final grading period? In computing your final score, or the score that will be ultimately become the basis or will reflect in your OTR or transcript of records, right? So that's why the second part here, the bottom part, the lower part, actually is important, the grading distribution. So for the midterm score and then the final score. So your midterm score, 100% of your midterm score will of course be based on whatever you will compute in your midterm period, right? If it's a lecture, 50% class standing, 50% midterm examination. So 100% of your midterm score will be your midterm uh, score for the midterm grading period. I hope it's kind of redundant, but I hope it makes sense to you. And then your final score, on the other hand, this is really important, or the final score will be your final grade, meaning this is the thing that will reflect in your grading sheet, in your transcript of records, in computing whether will you become a Dinslister or ultimately your general weighted average when you graduate, whether will you become a cum laude or not, or whether you will pass or fail the course, and this will be the basis of your parents for your allowance or whether they will get angry at you, right? So your final score will be based on 50%, whatever your midterm score earlier, right? And then 50% of your raw final score or RFS. So remember, there is a final grading period wherein 50% class standing and then 50% your final examination. So 50% of your raw final score will be the basis, diba, for your final grade. Okay? Or the grade that will reflect on your final exam. So I suggest, starting midterm, you invest already, right? Because your midterm grade will be the 50% of your ultimate final grade, right? And then of course, even if you fail midterms on the other hand, there's still a 50% chance that you will be able to pass the course because 50% of your final grade will be based on your raw final score or the score that you get in the final grading period. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense to you, if you're still confused, please feel free to send me a message, right? But again, the grade distribution doesn't change. Whether it is a course that is 5 units, 4 units, 3 units, 2 units, it's the same. It's always 50% final, the final score will be 50% midterm score and then 50% raw final score. And then ultimately, the last part of our video for today, right, is our new course schedule. And I understand that a lot of you are still confused about this, right? Because today, or starting today, starting this academic year, we have a new course schedule, which is there is already courses that will be delivered in the first half of the trimester, and then there are also courses that will be delivered in the second half of the trimester. And then there are also courses that will follow the regular trimester or whole will be delivered for the whole trimester, right? So let's first go with the first half. Let's break this down, right? Let's break this table down. So first half, the duration will be from September 3 to 2017-2020. So if you have a course that that has a schedule to be delivered in the first half, that's the duration, September 3 to October 17, 2020. That also means that your midterm examination is scheduled September 24 to 26, 2020, and your final examination will be from October 15 to 17, 2020. So that is the duration and the schedule of examination for courses that will be administered during the first half of the trimester. Now, right after the first half, we will proceed with the courses that were assigned for the second half, right? So for the second half, as you can see here, immediately after the final examination of the first half, we will proceed with the second half because the second half will be administered from October 18 to December 5, 2020. That means that the midterm examination will be November 11 to 13, 2020, and then the final examination will be December 3 to 5, 2020. So that is the how we will administer or the schedule of the courses for the first half and the schedule of the courses for second half. I hope that's not confusing for you, right? And then there are also courses wherein the length or duration will be for the entire trimester. That is to say that the duration is September 3 to December 5, 2020. The midterm examination for those courses will be on October 15 to 17, 2020. And then the final examination will be December 3 to 5, 2020. Now, the more important question is, how do I know when the courses that whether the courses that I enrolled in will be administered during the first half or second half or even for the entire trimester? Well, it's very simple. Let's move on to this next slide. Now, courses that are not affected by the new schedule, meaning the courses that will be administered for the entire trimester, meaning from September 3 to December 5, 2020, are the following, right? Or we call them the regular trimester courses. If your course is 2-unit course, right? It's a 2-unit course, then that means it's a regular trimester. If it's a 3-unit course with laboratory, then automatically that is a course that will be administered for the entire trimester. If it's a 4-unit course that is pure lecture, it will be for the entire trimester, right? If it's a 4-unit course with laboratory, then again, it will be administered for the entire trimester, as well as 5-unit courses. So, as you can see here, if it is a course with laboratory, if it's a course that is not 3 units, right, meaning 4 units or 5 units or 2 units, automatically it will be a course that will be administered for the entire duration of the trimester. And then, of course, the criminal law and jurisprudence courses will be administered for the entire trimester, because we cannot imagine you taking up book 1 or the revised penal code for example, just for 6.5 weeks. That's just very hard for you. So we intended that all criminal law and jurisprudence courses shall be administered for the entire trimester, meaning from September 3 to December 5, 2020. I hope that is clear enough, right? So the regular trimester, the courses that are that you could see on the screen, will be administered from September 3 to December 5, 2020. If your course does not belong in this category, then it could either be delivered during the first half or second half of this course, or this trimester rather. Now, how do we know? Again, let's answer that question. How do I know whether the course that I'm taking, right, will be delivered for the entire term or during the first half or second half? Well, a good clue will be the units, right? If it's a 3-unit course that doesn't have laboratory, or that doesn't, that is not a law course, then ultimately it will be delivered either first half or second half. But if it's a course that is 2 units, 4 units, 5 units, or 3 units, but it's a law course, right? It's a law-related course, then ultimately it will be for the entire for the entire trimester rather, right? But here's the thing. A better way or an easier way to do that is just to look at the section. As you can see here, this one section, CCJE International, there is no -1 or -2. That means that this course, which is CDI 6C or Introduction to Cybercrime and Environmental Laws and Protection, will be administered for the entire trimester, right? And that makes sense because if you try to look at the schedule of this course, although it is 3 units, it has a laboratory component. Again, any course with laboratory component shall be administered for the entire trimester. Now, let's look at the second example here. It is CCJE International 3, that's the section, but it has -1. What does -1 means? It means that it will be administered during the first half. Again, let's go back here. The first half will be from September 3 to October 17, 2020, right? That's the duration of the courses that will be administered during the first half. Now, if it so happened that this is CCJE International 3-2, then that means that that course will be administered during the second half. I hope that is clear enough for you guys. If it's not clear, let me know. I'll give you, some more explanation or some more guidance, right? So CCJ International 3-1, that means this is a course that will be administered during the first half. CCJ International 2, well, it's not -1 or -2, so this is a course that will be administered for the entire term. And it makes sense because this is lie detection techniques. It is a 3-unit course with laboratory, so that means it will be administered for the entire duration of the trimester. Right? CCJE International 3-1, first half, you're right. And then CCJE International, what do you think? First half, second half, or the entire trimester? Yes, the entire trimester, because this is LEA 4N, Law Enforcement Operation Planning with GIS Crime Mapping. This is a 4-unit course, so automatically it's a 4-unit course, so it's for the entire trimester, and it has laboratory components, so definitely that is a course that will be administered for the entire trimester. So that's basically it. I hope you learned something from the video. If you have further questions, I'll be very happy to, answer them. Just send me an email on the, via the email address you could see on the screen. So that's basically it. Thank you very much, and see you online. And I hope around the campus really soon. Right? Bye-bye! Wala nang edit-edit yun. Tapos hindi ko